Okay, I've got some sound here, so I'll go ahead and get started. And as I promised on Thursday, I'm a little bit of time getting around to it, but I am going to do part two of the Thursday, the 8th. And so, as I promised, I'm going to cover access case number 4. You know, we've been working ahead there, and I had the file there for you to upload. So now we're going to work on case number 4. All right, and there's your ACC3 here, and I think I had provided you guys some I provided you files there to upload for those 2 and for 3. And they'll be down, and you should find them either up here in the welcome area, and we went over them. In fact, I think you'll find access case 2 and access case 3. And those are the ones you can upload, or if you tried and worked on the 2 cases from the text, that's fine too. It's a workshop. The whole idea is to start to master some of this so that when you get to the project part of the course, you're not completely lost and you do have some frame of reference. Now, I'm going to go over here to the Vital Source Library, and here's our textbook. This is Microsoft Access step by step, and I believe this is the POTSI text, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go back up here to pardon me, it's the Lambert and Cox textbook. I apologize. Now, I'm going to go down here to the file, and as you probably would guess, I have the files on my computer. And here are the resources for the Microsoft Access cases. Okay, so we're going to talk about case number 4. As I said at the start of the course, as we did these Excel and these access cases, I have 3 things. First, what type of business problem or skill are we working on? Okay. And number 2, I have some examples from the course as I've kind of developed it over the years, and I have some good examples to show you, okay, how to accomplish some of these things. And then you have resources from your textbook, and I'll give you the file name, and those files are in the companion text, and then what pages or what chapter it's related to. Let's come down here to let's come down here to access number 4, and here we're going to talk about developing a transaction processing system and data flow charting and creating queries, sorting, and data control. And we have a case, this is an old one, called Cascade Pharmacy, and it's up in the welcome module there in Canvas. Now, at the same time, you also have Garden 11, and that's in Chapter 11 of the Lambert and Cox text. So I'm going to do this first of all. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to take the Access Companion, and I'm going to open it up. Okay. I come down here to Chapter 11. And this is Garden Company 11, and I'm going to copy that and paste it to my screen. Okay, so it's Garden Company 11, and you'll notice there's a couple of other items in here, and one of them is an icon. Let's open that up for a moment and take a look at it, if it's going to rend for us. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, it's a paint file, so we'll get rid of that. And then we've got this logo. Let's open the logo. This is a PNG file. It's supposed to be a picture, but see, these are one of the things about these are one of these things where you're in here and these obviously are just not going to work because they're really for a Microsoft Paint, and we don't have that. But that's okay. We don't have to get all worried about it. You can always go out to the internet and add your own stuff. But here's the Garden Company 11, and we'll take a look at it here in just a minute. And so what you'll want to do now is go back up to the table of contents. Well, you want to come down and we want to find chapter 11, and this is making databases easier to use. Let's just run through this real quickly since we're here. And as I mentioned at the end of last class session, we've got some tools that we can use here to make it easier to work with a database. And most of the times that's accomplished through what we call the graphic user interface. Okay, so we're going to come on down here, and here's designing and navigation forms. And all this is really creating a form in design view, right? Then adding a link, and away you go. And there's some tailoring and some work in here, but if you go to Northwind Traders and you open it up, you're going to see you'll see that it's a form, and you can set the form up so that it opens up when you want, so that it opens up when you open the database. And you can click on the design view and see that. So they're going to walk you through that, creating custom categories, controlling the features, some of the tailoring things, and these practice files, much of which is fine and really good to know. Okay. Now, I am, of course, about working the database, and they talk about creating custom categories. They walk you through a whole series of steps there. It's more of about design, things of that nature. Performance analyzer, just a lot. There's a lot here, and adding a password and all this business. Okay, so that would truly be up to you. But nonetheless, we've got to look at it. And so let's just real quickly take a look at it. Here's Garden 11. And what did I do with it? That's my resources. So I'll find Garden 11. It's right here somewhere. I threw it over here. And there it is. Oh, my brain is not working today, is it? All right, let's find Garden 11. That's going to be Garden Company 11. Weird. Oh, wait a minute. There it is, right in the middle. We've been mistaken by me. Okay. Let's look at this jewel. Let's talk about what we've got going on, and we'll save it as. Now we're going to put this Garden Company 11, and on the desktop. Now I'm going to give it a different name just so I don't have a bunch of hassles. I'm going to call it Carmen. Okay. Enable the content again. Now you'll notice up here we have all access objects shuttered, and notice we have several queries. We have even a brand new query, and let's look at this for just a minute. This is a new look. This is what we call an update query. How do I know? If I look up in the toolbar, I'll get feedback that tells me it's an update query, because in the graphic user interface, I look up there and I'm going to see that. Okay, so you have that feedback at the top of the ribbon. Then over here in this shutter area, you have the name of the file, and it's preceded by an icon that will tell you what you're working with. And what we're doing is we're updating it. We're updating a table. You say, okay, how do you know that? Well, it says it's an update query. All right, and let's look here for just a moment. And here are the two tables that we're working with. We're working with the products table. Okay, and we're working with the categories table. Now, there's something interesting about these two. All right, they're linked. And as we talked about at the end of class Thursday night, when I can begin to link tables is when I can begin to leverage what we call the law of large numbers. And that is, I can start to build profiles. I can get more data about my customers. I can understand more about their transactions. Okay. And so for most businesses today, it's a race between just keeping up with all the data that's created and trying to extract some information from it versus just being overwhelmed. And I would say that the typical organization, private, not-for-profit, whatever, probably exploits only 10 to maybe 20% of all of the data they've paid to collect and store. So you're getting about 20 cents on the dollar. All right. If it was a stock, it was a stock that would have been taken out of the New York Stock Exchange in a heartbeat. But there's a reason why. Okay. You've got to have people that understand what data really can do for you. Okay, and you have to have an approach or a sense in a company that says, how can we do better? How can we improve? What's going on out there in the world around us, like our competitors? How are we operating internally? And this is a term they call business intelligence, and that's why people have these things that they call dashboards. And when we did the Northwinds Trader and looked at it. We looked at the dashboard. You opened it up, there's a form, you clicked a link, and it gave you reports or took you out and showed you, what was left in the inventory. And again, it's one of these things. What are the 5 things that you have to know every day? KPIs, key performance indicators. If you don't know what those are, you're in trouble. Okay? Now, let's look at this. And here's something very interesting. We've connected these, okay? And I'm going to put my cursor right here. I have a joined property. Now, the left table is categories, okay? The right table is products. And what we're saying is that when we categorize products, okay, and notice that the left-hand column name has the category ID and the right-hand has the category ID. And notice that the category ID in the category table, you see that little key there? It's a primary key. That's the field that makes sure that every single record is unique. Okay? Now you can take that same field or row and add it to another table, and you can link the two tables. And then you can begin to run a query on both of them. Now, this is what we would call an inner join, or what you would call an intersection, where we take only the rows we only take the rows where they're equal, the same. In other words, they're equal in both tables. Okay, and that thing has to be equal to the customer ID. And notice we come down here and we've got an update and we're going to update the unit price. And we put the unit price spelled exactly as it should be spelled. We put it in brackets, and then we do an operation. We take times 1.1, okay? And then we come down to the categories, And anything that's called bulbs or cacti is going to get updated. Now I'm going to run this, okay? Close that off, and I'm going to run this. And it says you're about to update 11 rows. And what this says is, hey, before you do this, are you sure you want to update those rows? Because what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, we're going to give them a 10% price increase. That's what this expression, unit price times 1.1 means. And we'll click yes, and there we go. Okay, so we've done a categories query, and basically what we've done is we've updated a table. Now we can go down here and take a peek under the hood, and we'll take a look at the SQL. And notice that it says here, I'm going to update the categories. I do an inner join on categories, and then it gives us the field where the category ID in categories, the product category ID equals the product ID, the category ID in the products table. And then I'm going to set that unit price, and then I'm going to put in a where clause that says where the company category name equals bulbs or it equals cacti. So if it's bulbs or cacti, they're getting raised for 10%. Now I know this SQL in here, or SQL as people like to say, or structured query language, it looks a little intimidating at first. It's really not. You'll get to where you just understand it quite well. Well, as we look here at Garden 11, we got some other things that we've built in here, and these are the things that help us use the database, make it more user friendly, and it's anything that where we can use. And I'm going to close that query off. And here we have a form, okay? And you'll notice that we got a form, it's called categories, and we have a category ID, and then we have the name, and then the description, okay? And this is what we call a split form. It's a split form for a simple reason. Each time I add a new record, I can see it here in the table. Okay. Now, if I want to have some fun, for example, if I want to make it, I'm going to go to the design view on this, and let's say that I want to insert a picture. Let me see here. I want to insert an image. And I want to browse for an image. I don't care if it's too hydrangea. Let's get some pictures. I don't have any camera pictures that are saved. Well, if you had some pictures to put in a logo, or you wanted to put in, your puppy, anything like that, you can do it. Okay. So we're going to go back up to the form view. And it's got some advantages. I can do a search, okay? Again, this is what we call a split form. Now, here's a customer records form, all right? And again, this is where we can put in records on a customer. And again, I showed you how we could do a drop-down menu. I showed you about a primary key and how it makes sure that we have data integrity. And once we have those things, especially the drop-down menus, we really do have control of how the information is inputted. And we want that control, because if not, we have a mess on our hands. Okay? And if I wanted to put in if I wanted to put in a new record, I could do that. I'll close this. Now I also have a products, what we call sub form, and let's open that up. And to be honest with you, I've never really quite figured out what the subform is supposed to do for you. The only thing I can figure out is this is what we would call, it's not a form. This is what what I would call a lookup table. And typically it's called a table that has slowly changing dimensions. You say that's a mouthful. And yes, it is. But here's what it means. If we look over here, okay, we have a product name. Then we have the quantity per unit. Then we have the unit price and the units in stock. If we want to, we can go back to one of our tables and we can run a query on this so that we put in the right amount of money, say, for example, on Magic Lilies, we put in the quantity per price, the unit price, and the units of stock. Okay. But we could certainly use it for the product name and the quantity per unit and the unit price. So it provides us that type of information. Let's go up here for just a minute and let's go to good categories. Let's look at products. Let's open it up for a minute, okay? And I'll show you what we're talking about, all right? Now, as I go across here, I see some opportunities where I could, if I wanted to, utilize that product subform, okay, or that products. And I'm going to close that off, and I'm going to go to design view on this, all right? And I'm going to come down to unit price, okay? Now there's some data integrity things already built in here, and I want you to take a look at it. This is probably one of the more well-developed databases from the text. Again, the authors are providing you a detailed, exhaustive, step by step by step by step. So if you see something that you don't understand that I've done, you can always go into the textbook and they'll show you step by step. And they give you so much visual information. Okay. I sometimes can skip steps because I've been doing this a while. Okay, well, let's notice something here. First of all, the unit price, it's got to be in currency, and we have automatic decimal places. The caption, its name is unit price. The default value is a 0, okay? And the validation rule, it says, is equal to or greater than 0. And look at the validation text. It says you must enter a positive number. Is it required? No, it's no text line, general. And so if you are inputting records and you come to the unit price and you put in -1, it won't save the record because you're not staying within the confines of the rules for that given field. Now let's do a lookup here. Okay, if it's going to let me. That's weird. I'm going to save it as. Okay, I'll do that. And I'm going to come it down and put it down here. Desktop. Okay. Now I want to come back here to the products. I'll open that up in design view. And I was down here for the unit price. Why is that not going to let me? That makes me crazy. Okay. It's not letting me do the design. It will on lookup. Reorder levels. Units on order. And I don't know why it's. Okay. All right. I'm the idiot here. My apologies. Well, but you need to know the unit price for each of those. But you put these figures in here, and so you put yourself into a bit of a straight box. Okay, I understand that. You don't want people putting in negative numbers for the unit price. Well, it's a trade-off. I don't know why you wouldn't go ahead and use that table, but quantity per unit. Yeah, text block on everybody, but it's this unit price. It's this validation rule. Okay. Well, let's do something else. Let me look here for a minute. I've got the supplier ID, and I'm going to go to the suppliers table. And we've got their state. Okay. So I'm going to come up here on the suppliers. I'm going to close the products off first of all. And I'll come over to suppliers, and I'm going to come to design view. And then when I come down to the state, okay, I'm going to click lookup, and I've got the text box. I'll do a combo box, and the row source, and those are three little buttons there. I'll click that, and the suppliers, I'll add that. Okay, and I'll put in the state, and I'll run it. Well, I'm going to put in the city. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the city. I'm going to put in the state. I'm going to run it. Okay. And it says I've got something else. Hang on here a minute. Okay, let's close this. And I've got the suppliers. Oh, I'm trying to run this on its own thing. All right, let me close this. Let me close this off for a minute. Let me get the. I'm failing miserably at this. Let's get the orders. Okay. I think you got something I can do with. All right, on the orders, let's go down here to the orders and we'll look at the design view. And I want the customer ID. Okay. I got the lookup table. I'll go down here to the combo box. All right. And customers. Let's say I'm interested in making sure I get the phone number right. And so I'm going to run this. Okay. And I'll close. It says you want to save it. I go yes. Now we can select the customer's phone numbers. So let's go back up here to the view, save the table, we will, and let's look at the phone numbers now. And what we'll see is the phone numbers, we've added chat required, and I'll find this here for a minute. I've got the region, the postal code. I thought we were getting their phone numbers too. Let's go back in here for a moment. Take a look at this. On the customer ID. Okay. Go back up here. All right. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Do that in here. I think I showed you last time is that, for example, if we've got some dimensions over here that we know, for example, this accounting rep, we can use the drop-down menu to match the two of them up. That's what I was putzing around with there. Okay, we've done this already before. Now, we've got a form here. We've got a way we can discontinue these products, and you see this is a select menu, okay? And we're going to choose all the products, and under the criteria, we want to know, has it been discontinued or not? And the criteria that says yes, we know that it has. So here we are. Okay. And there's a little check off. Okay. So that's pretty much what's going on there in that chat, in that case 11. Some nice things there. Let's go back upstairs here for a moment, and we'll go back over into the into the case, and we want to go up into the welcome area, and we're going to find this case number 4. That's Hudson Palmer. That's Abraxas Import. And here is the case 4 that's done. Let's download this. And this is Cascade. Okay. And we're going to open this up. Okay. Now, I want to show you here for just a moment. We'll go ahead and look at the tables. Here's the table populated. This is a pharmacy. Okay, and they've got certain, they've got the date. This is a set of transactions, the name of the drug, the supplier, and then the number of tabs they have dispensed. I think we even have it. Yeah, we have the date and the milligrams per tab. And the state government is regulating them and is interested in only those particular drugs, and they have a certain class of them. So we'll look at task 1 and we'll see that, okay? Now, let's look at this for just a minute. And we've got the yeah, and we'll go ahead and close that off. Okay, well, this is task 1, and let's go down to the go down into the graphic user interface view, the design view. Now I want you to notice they've got the drug, okay, and that's from the Cascade 4, that case, and they have everything in ascending order, and they are showing these drug codes, all right, and they've got F3 or Z5 or Z4 or Z3 or B3 or B6, and that's all of the drugs that the government's interested in looking at. And then they have the drug name, etc., and the supplier, and then the tabs, the milligrams per tab. Pretty simple query. We'll scroll down. You can see up here from the toolbar, we just did a select. So we'll close this off. Now let's look at task number 2. Now you say, how is it that you know, or, well, I worked with the cases, but also I just know for a very simple reason. I can see it in the design, okay? Let's look at this for a minute. Now we've got the drug code, the drug name, the supplier, the tabs, the milligrams per tab, and then it looks like we have some expressions over here, which I think we do. I'll try to get this. I just get the shutter bar back there. We can work with this a little bit better. Here we go. Well, maybe not so much better. They want to know the total usage. So they're going to have tabs times milligram per tab. So you have the total amount of drug dispensed. Okay, and we'll close. Now we'll go back to the navigation pane and we'll run it. We'll get the data sheet view. There we see we've got the tabs, the milligrams per tab. So we have the total usage per drug name, per supplier, per drug code. And part of this also was just about doing some thinking your way through, building in what we call codes, so we can promote category IDs, that type of thing. Not a whole lot different than what we did with Garden 11. Here's task 4, and we want the date, and the drug code, the drug name, and the supplier. Okay, and the tablets. We got all that business. And then let's see here. The total usage. You said, what if I wanted average usage? What if I wanted the subtotal, etc.? I would say this. Even with this little bitty bunch of little tiny group of records, okay, if you have, export them into Excel. Use Excel to do the computational stuff for yourself. Don't mess with it in Access. Access is accurate, but it's cumbersome. And most people are far more comfortable using spreadsheets. And frankly, they don't have the capability and access to do the data analysis that you might want. So you're going to put it in you're going to use it in the one that you want. What you can see is some of the same kinds of issues that we're involved with when we're doing a transaction processing, okay? And that's exactly what we're doing here with this case. Is we're analyzing transactions that have occurred. People bought a certain drug on a certain date, okay? And we want to make sure that we have good tables and good structure, and we have everything coded so we know where it went, who bought it, how much they paid for it, and all that good stuff. And so that's really all you have to do. So for the workshop credit, you can upload this file. It's over there in the welcome files. It's ACCDB for fun, for done, if I'm not mistaken. And again, you can see how we're building some of these things in here. And, you know, if, again, you see me mentioning, you see me mentioning drug codes, okay? Again, this would be one of those where you could build drop-down menus for drug code, the drug name, the supplier. You don't really need it because you got the supplier, but things like tabs and so forth. And that would just be simply doing some of those searches. And again, if you've got, milligrams per tab for a particular drug code, then you go in and you do that lookup. Go to the lookup table, and then you have a little drop-down menu where you just put that data in. Okay. And that'll pretty much do it. So you've got a couple of these to upload. Okay. And you could I think it's the cast. You go back over here and you're going to find it'll be over here in the files section. And it's ACCDB for done, spring 15. And you can upload that for your workshop for 4 or Garden 11, either one. All right. Okay, I think I'll call that a day, and this will be part 2. So I'm going to stop the share. And let's see here. Stop the recording, and I'll end the meeting.